We haven't properly met yet. I'm Starlight.
Computer-generated imagery, CGI, is a filmmaker's best friend, especially when they're making a movie as gory and action-packed as Amazon's The Boys. The 16-episode-long series based on the comic book of the same name featured several scenes that left us thinking, how do they do that? On screen, the show is as entertaining as it gets with its kick-ass action, an unconventional storyline, and incredible effects, but you should know that there's some pretty juicy stuff behind the scenes as well. What scene got flagged as inappropriate? How did they create an exploding body? Stick around to find out some behind-the-scenes secrets from The Boys. But first, a simple reminder on how to enter our brand new giveaway. We are giving away either an iPhone X Max, the new iPad mini, or MacBook Pro. It's all your choice. So be sure to leave a like, comment the keyword, subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter the giveaway. It's really that simple. The brain behind The Boys is none other than Eric Kripke, a man best known as the creator of the WB The CW fantasy drama 15-season-long series Supernatural. After Supernatural, Eric worked with NBC to create Revolution and Timeless before he partnered up with Prime Video to create The Boys. In an interview with Collider, Eric confirmed that The Boys was unlike any project he had ever worked on before because he got to be himself, unapologetically. In the interview, he said, "Actually, I'm having the time of my life. I'm having a blast. It's so fun not to have restrictions on where you want a scene or joke to go. Anybody who knows me or has spent time with me in the writer's room knows how filthy I am. I have a filthy sense of humor, and I've always had to restrain it for network television, and so, for better or for worse, The Boys is probably the most accurate representation of my actual, real taste." Now, this is where things get juicy. It turns out Eric's sense of humor gets a little too filthy for Amazon sometimes. The people at Amazon drew the line at Eric's suggestion to include a scene of Homelander getting off while standing atop the Chrysler Building and looking down at the people of New York going about their business. Get a room, Homelander! Ugh. Anyway, Amazon said no to the scene and stood their ground, even after learning that the scene had already been filmed, calling it unnecessary. Eric maintained that though the scene didn't make it in, he thought actor Anthony Starr, who plays Homelander, did a fantastic job, and that the scene told him a little more about the character's psyche. What do you think? Would you have loved to see the scene in the movie, or do you agree with Amazon that it's a little over the top? Where? Movie magic. These days, every movie has a little magic added to spice things up, and The Boys isn't left out. The movie magic in The Boys has you thinking that Toronto is New York City. The story is set in New York City, but in reality, most of the filming happened in Toronto. Toronto in the summertime, combined with the right CGI and computer team, gives you a pretty impressive New York City. The first season of the show was filmed between May and September. Just before winter, they wrapped up filming and said goodbye to Hollywood North. If you're a huge fan who lives in Toronto or has plans of visiting the city, here are a few The Boys filming locations you might want to check out. The opening scene of the first episode in season 1 with Homelander, the narcissistic leader of the Supes, and Queen Maeve was shot at Catherine Street in Hamilton. Also, remember that iconic race between A-Train and Shockwave in the third episode of the first season? It was shot at Hamilton's Tim Hortons Field Stadium. In the 8th episode of season 1, we see the boys meet with Grace Mallory at her home, which in reality is the Falls View residence located on the Bruce Trail in Hamilton. Later in the film, Hamilton appears again in another scene that was filmed at 50 Point Conservation Area. Huey's electronics store in Brooklyn is actually located at 871 O'Connor Drive in East York, Toronto. In the penultimate episode of season 1, Homelander pays a visit to Jonah Vogelbaum's mansion, which in reality is Parkwood Estate, Oshawa. In season 2, episode 1, Translucent's funeral takes place, and it was shot at the Toronto Center for the Arts, aka the Meridian Arts Center in New York. The most impressive location on the show, however, has got to be the Roy Thompson Hall in Toronto's entertainment district that serves as the Vout International headquarters, aka the Seven Tower, after being redecorated and elongated using CGI. Other filming locations include St. Luke's United Church at Sherbourne and Carlton Street in Toronto, the New Plaza Motel located at 4584 Kingston Road, Scarborough, Toronto, and the George Street Diner in Toronto's Old Town. Did you recognize any of these locations in the series? Costume. If there is anything that we've learned from Tony Stark, it's that a superhero is nothing without a badass suit, and the costume department of The Boys is well aware of this fact. The costumes of the Seven were designed and tailored to suit their individual needs, which is great, because it's very easy for things to go south with a man wearing spandex tights. Superman and Homelander don't have a lot in common, but one thing they do have in common is how threatening they look in their suits. Homelander's suit is filled with soft, rubber muscles to complement his already ripped body. The costume designers also devised a means to help the world's fastest man, A-Train, terrain, reduce drag while in action. How? They lined the outside of his suit with rubberized mesh to help him cut through the air while using his super speed. Black Noir, aka the poor man's Black Panther, is very open about his profound love for knives. The costume department, who were more than happy to oblige, designed a kick-ass, super sleek suit for him, fitted with knives and other weapons placed in strategic positions. Thankfully, the drool-worthy, the Deep we see in the movie looks nothing like his comic counterpart. In the comic, he wears a diving suit and a helmet over his head, but the Deep in The Boys is dressed in a very flattering yet practical costume that brings Aquaman to mind. Like other female superheroes, the female cast members also get really cute but impractical outfits, but hey, it's aesthetically pleasing, so why not? How? Now to the part you've all been waiting for. How did they do just about everything that was done in the movie, from Maeve stopping a truck with her body to a speed-inducing human explosion? It's no news that every superhero show released gets compared to the movies from the Marvel and DC universes, regardless of their budget. More often than not, these shows get floored, so it's really refreshing that The Boys can hold down its own in comparison. This is a result of Kripke's belief in doing things the old-fashioned way. Of course, there are a lot of VFX experts involved in the project, as Kripke revealed in an interview, saying, "I think at one point we had something like well over 20 VFX houses doing different shots, and we were doing 20 to 30 revisions of almost every shot, and I think there's 1,800 to 1,900 shots in the first 8 episodes." The mind-blowing, gory, and action scenes we see in the movie are birthed by a combination of Kripke's belief and the efforts of over 20 competent VFX houses. Let's take a look at some of these scenes, shall we? In the opening scene of the show's first episode, we see two of the Supes, Homelander and Queen Maeve, foiling a robbery attempt, with Queen Maeve bringing a huge van to a halt with her body. That's right, it was Maeve against the van, and she won. The craziness doesn't just end there, as we see her crash through the entirety of the cash-filled vehicle with cash and coins flying around her in slow motion. The team was able to bring the halting van scene and the subsequent money shot together with the help of a truck carcass, a giant metal pole, footage of the actress pretending to jump in front of a truck in front of a green screen, a digi-double, and a purpose-built set. Shortly after another jaw-dropping event occurred, we see Homelander grab an armed goon by the scruff of his neck with one hand and effortlessly throw him up, only to see him come crashing down several meters away. Super strength? Yeah, right. In the real sense, the shooter has a wire attached to his back, so as soon as Homelander does his thing, he's pulled up. Shortly after, Homelander turns away looking very nonchalant. A CGI copy of the shooter comes tumbling down several feet away. Clever, right? We know. Like most superheroes, we see Homelander soaring in the sky a few times. If you haven't already guessed it, Homelander's ability to fly is largely dependent on CGI. All he has to do is jump up and down in a cool way in front of a green screen. If there were a competition for goriest The Boys scene, this next scene that many have called the defining moment of the series would be a strong competitor. One moment, we see Hugh Campbell and his girlfriend Robin cozying up on the streets, acting all lovey-dovey, and the next moment, Robin is gone as a result of A-Train's deadly speed, which caused her to explode. In her place, we see blood splattered everywhere, and all that is left of her are two realistic-looking hands that Hugh holds onto. This scene was completed after 8 months of research and hard work with the help of fake blood, a phantom camera, a Bolt high-speed Cinebot rig, and an amazing tech team. Before we call it a day, if you saw the dolphin scene and are worried about a real dolphin getting hurt, you should know that that scene was filmed using a green dolphin stuffy and a device we can only refer to as a dolphin launcher. So not to worry, all the dolphins are safe. No dolphin gave up their life for the 4th episode of season 1 to be a success. And this is where we draw the curtains, my friends. Thank you for watching. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section. We'll see you next time. Laters.